Welcome to Simplify to Scale, a show dedicated to helping you scale a high impact and high profit business that you love without all of the complexity and chaos that can keep you trapped in the day-to-day. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and with decades of scaling experience, I know what actually works and what's just hype. So if you are done with all of the one-size-fits-all scaling advice and all of the overnight success promises, and instead you want proven practical strategies that will help you simplify operations, elevate your leadership, amplify profits, and scale sustainably, let's dive in and get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Simplify to Scale show. Today, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek behind the scenes of what's going on in my life, in my businesses, and all the things. So if you are a longtime listener of the show, if you've been following my journey or have a little bit of curiosity as to where I'm taking things next, what some of the shifts are that I'm making, why I might be making those shifts, this episode is for you. And if you find yourself at, call it almost like a threshold moment, you are in the middle of your own identity evolution, or you're in the middle of making some big decisions where there's something in your life or in your business that you feel like you're moving away from, but you have not yet fully stepped into whatever is next yet, then you also will want to listen to this episode because that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about. So in case you are new here, I'm going to give you a real quick little catch up, and then I'm going to share with you where we are at. So this past year, really more like 18 months or so, has been one of the most significant periods of change that I think I've ever experienced in my life. And I have had some big change moments. I've had some really serious life events. I have experienced a lot over these many years that I have been on this planet. But that being said, this past 12 to 18 months has been especially challenging. I lost my dad, and that was not expected. Unfortunately, we knew it was going to happen by the time it happened, but he had been perfectly healthy a few months before, and then he had a complication with surgery and things went sideways, and he unfortunately was never able to recover. And so that rocked my world in a pretty big way. My dad was my best friend in the world. He was someone I talked to every single day of my life. That was a really significant loss and a really significant change for me. And the period leading up to him passing was a roller coaster ride of emotion and everything else, because as I shared, he had been healthy. He was fine. And he went in for a surgery and he should have been fine. He went home from the surgery and he was fine. And then 5 days later, my mom had to call 911 because he couldn't breathe and his coloring was off and everything was off. And he went into the hospital and he never came back home until he was on hospice. And in that time, I don't even know how many surgeries he had. I think it was over a dozen. He would be rushed back and forth from the hospital to the nursing home where he was supposed to be doing physical therapy to get better. And then he'd be in ICU and then he'd be out. And he was back and forth in so many places. And we would have these little glimmers of hope that he would finally be getting better. And then he would take a dramatic turn for the worse. And the doctors just couldn't figure out what was happening. And he had so many compounding issues that every time they would solve one, it would either cause something else or it would amplify something else. And in the end, there just, unfortunately, was not anything that they could do. So during this period of time, it was, as you could imagine, very emotional, very high stress, very everything. And I had, during the same period of time, been working with a client who was probably the most challenging human I've ever worked with in my life. Somebody who was highly narcissistic, somebody who thrived by bringing everyone else down, somebody who did nothing but criticize nonstop. And that was really challenging for me to handle and deal with. I've never actually had that experience in my life before. And I've said that to certain people and they're like, wow, that must be nice. So I'm realizing just how privileged I must have been that I've not had that experience before. But I'm very used to being the person that everybody loves and everybody wants to come into their company and everybody wants to be a part of their team and everybody talks about and refers. And like, I've just had this very different experience than the one I had with him. And it made me question myself on so many different levels and it messed with my head something fierce. And it was throughout the experience, I talked to other people who had worked with this person and they let me know that it was not me. They had similar experiences and that this was who he was. And people started saying, did he do this? Did he say this? And all of those things had happened. And so I was navigating this really difficult thing. So I was not in a good headspace at all. And this is going on at the same time. My dad is maybe dying, maybe getting better, not quite sure. Roller coaster of emotions there with the stress of working for this person who is very, very, very intense. And thankfully, I did not remain in that engagement, but I was there for longer than I probably should have been because I was so distracted by the stuff going on with my dad. And at the same time, it was starting to become really apparent to me that my marriage was probably not going to be a marriage for long. And so I had all of these things happening at the same time. I had a cancer scare in the middle of it. Again, don't know, depending on how long time a listener of a show, I did have breast cancer. I was diagnosed on New Year's Eve, 2019. And as part of the treatments and as part of the healing from that, there was a particular medication that I was on. And that medication is known to cause other types of cancers. And I ended up having that exact side effect and reaction. And so I had to have another surgery right in the middle of all of this happening. And they weren't sure if it was cancerous or not. And I ended up with major complications from the surgery. So all of this is going on. Thankfully, it was not cancerous. I'm still cancer free. Everything's fine. But like all of these things were happening all at once. And then, fast forward a little while longer, and I step away from working with the narcissistic a-hole. I will leave it at that. Many choice words I could use, but we'll just stop there. So I ended that engagement. But all of a sudden, that was disorienting too, because that was so very much all consuming. And then all of a sudden, I just ended it because I couldn't do it. And I had more space to be with my dad, which was amazing. And I'm super grateful that I took that space and that I made that decision and that the two of those coincided. But at the same time, I'm like kind of blinders on in my marriage because I'm just trying to get through being with my dad and hoping that we could find ways to get him recovered. And I'm doing everything under the sun to try to help him get better and trying to talk to doctors and trying to support my family. And, there was just all of these different things going on. And my dad ended up passing in May. And by September, I was certain that my marriage was over. And my husband at the time and I had a conversation. We decided to get divorced. And within 6 months, my house was sold. My life was completely changed. I rented a house in Austin. I packed up my car, packed up a pod, packed up my dog, got in my car and drove 4 days to Austin. That was an epic experience. Connecticut to Austin is no joke, especially when there is snow and ice on your way there. But that being said, I made the epic move. It was actually 3 months ago to the day today that I'm recording this that I moved here. It was just about 2 months ago that my divorce was finalized and that my house sale closed. That actually happened within one day of one another. My divorce was finalized and then my house closed the next morning. And so there's been a lot more that has happened in that period, but this is a lot of what's been going on in my world in the past year, 18 months. And now I want you to think about what's been going on in the market and in the economy and in the world and in the US and everything during that time too. So there's just been this epic swirl of all of these different things that have been happening. And any single one of them would naturally cause someone to, I think, reevaluate their life in a lot of different ways. Like, who am I? How happy am I? Am I doing what I love? Is this what I really want? Any single one of those occurrences would cause some of that deep inner introspection, I think. But you combine all of them together and there is really no world in which you can avoid it. Like, I mean, I was kind of like hit over the head with the fact of you will evaluate everything and you will see where things no longer align for you. Couldn't get away from it. And again, that became pretty apparent with certain things, which is why I now live in Austin by myself with Remy instead of in Connecticut with who's now my ex-husband and all the things. But that being said, it also gave me an opportunity to look at myself and where I spend my time and who I spend my time with and what I spend my time on and what I do and what I love about my businesses and what I don't and what I love about my role in my businesses and what I don't and who I want to be next and who I'm stepping into next and what I feel called to next. And it's given me just such an interesting opportunity. And I will tell you, those 4 days in the car, there is nothing but a whole lot of driving and a whole lot of time to think. I turned Otter on and pretty much just talked for 4 days straight. And I talked out a lot of stuff. And I did not get here with all the answers, but I got here with a whole lot of seeds planted that have been blooming and growing like crazy since I got here. And I'm getting more and more clear every day with what I want to change and what I want different. And so I've gone through a pretty significant identity evolution already at this point. But so much of my life has shifted that it does shine a spotlight on the areas that are still the same. Like it's one thing when one thing in your life changes and you can kind of overlook it. But when so many, like 80% of your life changes, all of a sudden the 20% that's left is like neon glowing lights, like, hey, look at me. Did you want to change me too? Hey, you still happy with me? Because it almost seems jarring that it is what it used to be when everything else is new and different. And so I've been really thinking about what do I want? And another thing that's interesting along with that line of thinking is, when you're in a relationship with somebody, especially when you're in a relationship as long as we were, which was almost 24 years, this month, a week from now, actually, will be our 24th anniversary of when we very first started dating. Right. And so that's a long time. That's a really, really long time. I was in my 20s the last time I was single. That's just wild. But anyway, all that being said, right, it was quite a long time ago. And so when you're with someone for that long, as you know, whether you have children or whether you have a spouse or whether you've had long term relationships or business partnerships, you know that part of that relationship is compromising, right? If you see things differently, if you have different perspectives on things, you don't have the same level of freedom when you are in partnership relationship with someone in any way, shape, or form as you do when you're on your own. But also, that compromise can be a really positive thing because relationships are really rich and really fulfilling. And there's so much about relationships that make that compromise something that you're more than willing to do while you're in them. But when you no longer are in them and you can look back and you could be a little bit more objective on that, you can start to see and realize just how much sometimes things that felt like a compromise were actually much more of a sacrifice and how much of what you really wanted or how you really wanted to be, you weren't, or you compromised on, or you gave up, or you didn't even notice that you were overlooking because you were doing it for that other person, even if the other person didn't ask. And so, for example, my ex husband, he did not have the same level of risk tolerance as I do. I am like super big visionary, super fast mover, super high risk tolerance. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll just do it and I'll figure it out later. Like that's more how I'm wired. Whereas he is more the analytical, cautious, think it through all those different angles before making a decision kind of person. Whereas I'm just more jump and go and figure it out later. And so, as you can imagine, right, those two styles is good. Like he caused me to think things through a little bit more. I challenged him to be more spontaneous and to just kind of go with things some, right? And so we both helped one another with that in ways. But when it comes to running a business, there's a lot that I did in the name of stability because I knew he was not very risk tolerant, right? And so I wanted to give him more stability than I needed myself. And there were a lot of the decisions that I made in my business over the years, which I don't know that I even consciously realized at the time I was making those decisions for him. And it's not that he asked me to make them. And it's not so much that I was doing it for one person per se, but it's just you kind of have it in your mind. And so you make decisions that fit the type of relationship that you have or the type of agreement that you have. And I realized how many things I did where I was not showing up as all of me. And I was not leading the parts of the businesses that I really wanted to because I was not showing up as all of me. And so let me explain what I mean by that. Depending on the context in which you know me, this might be like, yeah, of course, duh. Or you might be like, seriously? And it kind of depends. But I am super, super, super woo, like extraordinarily woo. My ex was not. He was very analytical, very more science based. If it wasn't researched and studied and proven, he kind of didn't want to hear about it. I'm the opposite. I will talk to animal communicators. I will talk to psychics. I do energy healing every week. I do EES therapy every week. I go and do salt therapy every single week. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I am all of the different things. You name it, I love it. Every single morning, I pull my oracle cards. A lot of times when I lead my retreats, we pull cards every single time. I have these beautiful ceremonies in there. I make everybody handmade jewelry that has really deep meaning that's tied to the theme of the retreat. My jewelry brand was all about different gemstone meanings. And I had so much woven into that. I'm getting ready to take two incredible trips that I'm so excited about. In August, I'm going to Mallorca to see the eclipse. I'm going with my psychic. In November, I'm going to the pyramids and we're doing an 11:11 portal ceremony at the Sphinx. Like these are the sorts of things that I am all about and that I love. I love the magic. I love the mystical. I love the ancient wisdom. If there is a modality or if there is a practice or if there is something in the slightest bit intriguing to me, I want to go all in and I want to know all of it. I want to learn it. I want to experience it. I want to weave it into what I do and who I am. And that has always, always been true. But I tamped a lot of that down over the years because of my ex husband's beliefs around it. He was so not wired that way. And he so did not believe the same things that I believed at all that I just kind of got used to not talking about it. And so, unless you know me in certain context, a lot of people don't know that. And if you think, well, who cares? We all have our things that we like or things that we don't. And what does that have to do with scaling? Well, the reality is a lot of the work that I love most that I do with people is when I get to work with people privately and when I get to infuse a lot of that into what we do. When I get to pull oracle cards as part of our VIP day and as part of our biweekly sessions together, when I get to gift people sessions with my psychic for the holidays. Like those sorts of things are the things that I love. When my clients call and tell me the wild, wacky thing that just happened to them, like the other day when I created the framework for Founder Frequency, the visionary operating system, no joke, the crystal sitting next to me on my desk started shooting rainbows at me. If you saw the pictures on Instagram, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like full blown rainbows were shooting out of this crystal that has never, ever done that before. I have weird things like that happen all of the time. I have synchronicities like you could not imagine. I get signs like you could not imagine. I mean, this is just such a deep part of who I am and a deep part of my life that it feels weird not to talk about it in business because it feels like I'm hiding a part of myself if I don't talk about it because that's just who I am. I'm a super gut based person. I will absolutely use analytics and strategy, but I just kind of know what's right. And I find a lot of my clients are like that too. I tend to naturally attract for the people I work with privately, those who are more intuitive, those who have a bit of a magical side to them. Some of them have magical businesses, like they lead with astrology or with somatic coaching or with things of that nature or energy healing and things like that. A lot of them, though, have very traditional businesses and you would never know it, but that just is kind of their belief system as well in what they do. And so they like that it's something that I infuse in what I do. But if you look at most of my programs, if you look at something like Simplify to Scale, for example, or my certification program, if you look at lean scaling as a whole, with the exception of Rich Fulfilled Life and Setting Your Vision, there isn't really anything I talk about related to that. It's much more the mechanics of scale. Whereas I personally am super interested in the energetics of scale. Like what lights me up and what fuels me personally is more the energetic side of it. The mechanical side of it is super important. It's necessary. It's how you bring the vision to life. It's how you take that dream that you have and the impact that you want to make and make it real. And so the mechanical side is super necessary. It's important. And because it's necessary and important, but the energetic side is actually the side that I naturally gravitate towards and like more. That's part of why I make the mechanical side as simple and sustainable as possible. Because unlike other people who love operations for the sake of operations, to me, if you are going to have systems and you're going to have structure and you're going to have team and you're going to have all of your tools and your tech and your things, you better make them as effective as possible. If you're going to invest all of this time in scaling your business, you want to make sure that you are getting there in a way that you can sustain and that does not cost you everything to get there from a time, money, and energy perspective. And so everything I've developed and designed has basically been to get people so that they have the space to create the incredible vision that they have and make it real instead of have it be this thing that's far off in the distance. It's something that they can actually see being brought to life and feel being brought to life every single day, but also so they have the space to do and be and have whatever it is that they personally want that fulfills them and that defines what they consider their rich, fulfilled life. For me, my rich, fulfilled life is epic travel adventures and a whole lot of cool things with cool spiritual, metaphysical people. That to me is a rich, fulfilled life. I also think a rich, fulfilled life is getting to know myself really well, stepping into and understanding my next level. Like, what's my higher consciousness? What's my higher self? What am I being called to? What did my soul come here for? Like, that to me is the stuff that's super interesting in that I am always doing so much self discovery and contemplation around. And so, part of why I've taught scaling for as long as I have and helped businesses scale for as long as I have is not because I'm so enamored by scaling itself or by the mechanics of scaling, but because I'm so driven by what scaling makes possible and who it allows you to be as the person scaling that business. To me, screw the destination. It's about the journey. It is always about the journey. And so often people give themselves like the most turbulent, bumpy, scary plane ride of their life trying to get where they're going instead of having something be super smooth sailing, like in first class with nothing but beautiful clouds in the sky and sunshine out your window. Like it does not have to be such an intense ride. And so I've made it my mission to help people simplify that entire process so they can live their rich, fulfilled life. But what I'm realizing, and what I'm realizing more and more and more about myself, is that in this season that I'm in what I'm feeling called to next, I want to focus on the energetics of scale, not the mechanics of scale. For me personally, that means a few different things. That means I'm going to actually start taking one-on-one clients again. It's been a while. I've done things scalable for a really long time, but I miss that depth that I get to go into with really amazing people. And I've always taken on a few really special, really incredible one on one clients. And I'm going to go all in on the one on one model again. And I know that seems strange from the person who teaches scaling and who teaches other people how to scale and who leads businesses on scaling. But again, what my rich, fulfilled life is I want to help amazing people realize their vision and do amazing things. And I want to be a part of it. I don't want to be teaching it from afar. I want to be in it. I want to be in it with somebody. And so I've decided that I'm opening up one on one coaching again. And I'm so freaking excited by it. I've been doing a lot of VIP days recently, and I've been loving those. And some of those, well, most of those actually have turned into one on one containers, even though I wasn't trying to do one on one. And that made me realize how much I love it. And so, yeah, I'm going back and I'm doing one on one. The other thing, I love creating intimate in person experiences. If you've been listening, you know I'm doing Founder Frequency Live. And so when this episode comes out, it probably will have already happened, but I'm doing it again in September. And then I'm probably going to do it again in December or January. Like I'm going to be hosting live in person gatherings again. This particular one that's coming up is going to be really special, and I'm super excited. I'm excited to have people over to my home on the first night of the event and getting to actually welcome people into my space and getting to meet my dog. And just like, I have so many incredible people coming who I know and love so dearly, longtime clients, friends who are local who are just coming and joining us for that first night. And I'm so looking forward to it. But that's what I want, that feeling of community. But I don't mean community in the you're one of 10,000 people in a group and you feel invisible. I mean community as in like you're in person having real conversations with people and you're building relationships and you're going deeper in 30 minutes of a conversation with someone than you get to in 30 years on Zoom. Like it's just so different being in person and I love it. And now that I'm here in Austin, a place that people actually either live or are willing to travel to. I will say my house was beautiful in Connecticut, but nobody wanted to travel there and I don't blame them. Not where I lived anyway. My house was absolutely gorgeous, but I was out in the middle of nowhere. There was like nothing near me. So if you were coming, you were coming to chill with me and the deer and the hawks, and that was it. But here it's different. And I'm not in a place where I want to travel as much for events and things because it is just me and Remy now. And I don't like leaving him with someone else. So I like the idea of people coming to me. So I'm going to do more in person events again. And that's why I've already decided I'm doing the next Founder Frequency Live. You could actually head over to the website and grab a spot if you want. If you are listening to this right when the episode comes out, there's probably still really deeply discounted early bird pricing that's going to change and shift over time. But that I love. And then from there, I'm bringing my jewelry brand back. I want to be in my creative. I am going all in again on my jewelry brand, but it is going to be so much bigger. I am creating an entire universe for people who are in that liminal space between who they've been, who they were before, doesn't feel like it fits anymore, but they haven't fully stepped into who they're becoming next yet. And I'm creating an entire universe around this. And I'm just, oh, I'm so excited. Like I'm tempering myself because I want to just go to town and do nothing but design jewelry all day long. My visionary is out to play right now. And she has a lot of ideas and a lot of things in her head all at once. And I am doing my best to stay focused and to do things in due time and to give things the proper amount of focus and depth and attention. So that is very much what I'm challenging myself to continue to do. But yeah, so that's the space that I'm going into. I've always been very involved with my clients. I tend to keep everything I do relatively small circle, even in the scalable models, just because I like that connection with people. But I just want to go deeper. I want to go deeper and I want to focus on the person. I want to focus on the visionary who's leading the business. I want to help them step into who they want to be. I want to help them live the life that they want to live and be in the role in the business that they want to be in, not the one they feel trapped in. And I really want to work with really interesting, really cool people. And so that's what I'm doing. And it's interesting as I've been having conversations with clients, I know some of them are in a place where they actually want to scale down. They want to scale things back a little bit. They want more time for family or they want more time for other things. And for me, what I've recognized is I want more time being all of myself instead of part of myself and do all the things that I made decisions not to do while I was in the relationship that I was in because it didn't work well for us as an us. But now that I'm me, I can do what works for me without any of those perceived constraints. I want to go full out. I want to play. I want my business to be fun. I want to play. I want to feel like every day is play in my darn business. So if you would like to come join me live in person, you'll find the link down below for Founder Frequency Live in the show notes. And if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, you will find that link there too. I'm doing this application based and I'm going to be selecting a small handful of people to work with privately. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. So in order to do this, I need to create space. And that means that I need to let go of quite a few things. Some of my really big consulting engagements need to go. Some of my bigger programs need to go. And none of this may be forever, but for right now, I'm in a place where I have this brand new sense of freedom and this brand new life and adventure ahead of me. And I'm not even entirely sure where it's going personally. Who knows how long I'll be in Austin? Who knows how long things will be as they are right now? I don't have everything mapped out and I kind of love that. And so I'm in a place where I want to be all of me, every facet of me. And I want things to be fun and I want it to be playful. And I know I'm going to help people create incredible transformation, incredible results, and incredible scale. But I am also going to help them step into who they want to be in a way that they would never get outside of a one-on-one container. And so I'm feeling super excited about it. I'm super excited about the jewelry brand. I'll tell you more about that later, about the universe I'm creating. And there will be a part of me that misses some of the big consulting engagements and some of the bigger things that I'm doing. And in this season right now, I know that this is the right call and exactly where I want to be and what I want to be doing. And so what you can expect from me going forward, I will absolutely be doing plenty with AI, but per usual, not in the way most people are using it. Like all other things that I do, I feel like it's an incredible asset and something that can be so incredibly useful. However, I find most people misusing it or it creating more noise and more complexity instead of actually helping them get time back for the things that they want to be focused on. And so I'm using it in the way that I do, and that is what I'm doing live at Founder Frequency. And that's really helping you leverage it to be the best version of you that you can be and enable your team to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. So that is always remaining part of the brand, but delivered through more intimate containers. There's one-on-one work with me privately, VIP day style or ongoing. And then there'll be the new jewelry brand and the Substack that goes along with it, which you can find that link down below in the show notes as well. I'm just getting that going, but I'd love to have you come follow along and join the conversation over there, get a peek inside the new universe. And as far as this podcast, I've been going for 5.5 years now, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. But I probably will shift some of what I'm talking about to be much more on the energetic side of things, much more about you as the person, as the founder of the business versus as the business itself. Might do a little rebrand. I'm thinking about it. So I don't have all the answers yet, and I'm good with that. But I'm excited for this new book, and these changes feel like what it will take to close out the book that I've had for the first half of my life or more, if I'm being realistic with my age here, and starting the new book where it's much more about alignment and about fun and about passion and about fulfillment and about fully and entirely embracing and living my rich, fulfilled life and helping other people live theirs. So if that still sounds like the thing that you want, stick along for the ride. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for supporting me and my work and being a part of my universe and hopefully being a part of the new universe that I am building. I will see you again next week. If you are a visionary founder ready to get yourself out of the day-to-day operations of your business and scale in a much more simple, sustainable way, I have just the thing. Register to join me for my Scale Simpler workshop at scalesimpler.com. In it, I break down the hidden barriers that keep you trapped in the day-to-day of your business and what to do to finally extract yourself once and for all so things do not keep coming back onto your plate. And if you're someone who partners with founders as their right-hand advisor, consultant, or fractional, I invite you to explore our scaling certification and licensing programs at strategicopsinstitute.com.